everyone, and welcome back to the one and only Bear Bar Tales. It is I, the one bear brave enough to say the third-person perspective is the superior perspective in a video game. And yes, I even mean in a shooter. And yes, I am accepting hate mail in all my comments below for this, but I still am down for a third-person Halo game. Because I am the Bear Bard. Hello my friends, it's nice to see you today. Today's story takes us out of the realm of bards and dragons into the grim, dark future of the 41st century. Sorta. While this poor GM would try to put together a game that to me sounds like it would be fun, he ultimately doesn't quite hit his mark. But before we get started, we need to get the YouTube pleasantries out of the way. If you like what you see today, then I triple dog dare you to hit that like button. And if that felt good, then think about that sub button that looks oh so lonely. With that, let's get to today's story, titled, Tried to DM a Horror Game, except I got meta horror instead. 2 years ago, I tried to DM a one-shot using the obscure sci-fi system called Only War. The premise was that the players were staff on an oil extraction rig on an ocean planet. They accidentally drill into a precursor alien facility, horror stuff ensues, and the players' bosses decide to cut their losses and blow up the oil rig rather than evacuate the staff. Pretty standard survival horror stuff. I made an ad on a looking for group board and got 8 responses. That was the high point of this game. One of the responses doesn't understand the setting isn't D&D. He starts telling me about his Air Genasi character. I tell them that we're using a different system. He changed his mind about being interested. I decide to invite the remaining people to a Discord server after talking for a bit. 7 possible players. We begin to discuss characters. One player wants to play a character from a related system. In Only War, all the players are human or cyborg, and they get 1000 XP to spend on character creation. He wants to play a genetically engineered super soldier from a system called Deathwatch, where starting characters are far, far stronger. So I say no. This Special Forces badass, Adeptus Astartes, is too strong. Maybe a more basic soldier class, the player doesn't like the idea. As a side note, this is what a human looks like next to an Adeptus Astartes, aka a Space Marine. I point out to balance things, I would have to give everyone else around 9,000 extra XP. He says, can't I just play with the power disparity? It doesn't make sense for my character not to be an extremely deadly soldier. I say no again, he leaves the server and blocks me. Okay, maybe I ran into an unreasonable person. On to the second player. The second player wants to play a member of an alien cult whose goal is to get as many women pregnant with his half-alien children as possible. He wants to be the fertility doctor on the base, and of course secretly sleeping with all the female staff. The character's backstory is about 5 pages and used the word breeding more times than I feel comfortable with. Also pheromones and fertile body, just for that extra factor. It was like something you'd read on DeviantArt at the end of the search results. I tell him in more words to cut the fetishy shit out. He doesn't like that and also leaves the server. Third player leaves without saying anything to me. This is about 3 days before the game starts. The fourth player, a woman, messages me. Apparently the breeding player was messaging her from several accounts after he left and was really keen to tell her about his character concept. She felt creeped out, so she's leaving the game. About a day before the game, the 5th player tells me he's also leaving because 7 players is too many for him. At that point, he's one of 3 players remaining, and he should know that. On the day of the game, I had 2 theoretical players. Obviously not enough, but I can tone the comments way down and still manage a tone of isolation and dread. There's still hope. Game starts. 1 player shows up, on time even, with a correctly filled out sheet. I'm back to optimistic. We sit awkwardly in voice chat for about 20 minutes, waiting for the 7th player. Eventually, he says, yeah, I'm gonna go. Can't really blame him at that point. I'm ready to write the whole thing off as a train wreck and just sit down to do something else. 90 minutes after the game was supposed to start, the 7th player starts pinging me on Discord. He's apparently ready to play. Where is everyone? I tell him the game isn't happening. He calls me a shit DM and leaves. The server is empty except for me. I deleted the server and didn't play RPGs for about a year. Worst experience I ever had GMing. Man, from tip to tail, that sounds like a bunch of fun. Let's start with the first player. It's crazy to try joining a game without even reading the prompt. Unless the Waterdeep gets real techno happy, they're probably not going to be building an oil rig anytime soon. With player 2, I'll never get wanting that power fantasy over your own team. Like, maybe if you were competing, but these games are collaborative. Just chill. If he really wanted to play a Space Marine recruit, I bet the GM would have let him play with that and could have led to some decent moments, but he would have had to cut his power down. Maybe a failed recruit or something? Meh. Player 3. I think anyone that starts using the word breeding that isn't a vet or talking about animals should probably just be put on an island somewhere without internet and left for a while. We'll see how well they develop their pheromones in that scenario. But if it needs to be said out loud, keep your fetishy stuff private, or at least for people that agree to hear/be part of it. The rest of it feels like it just snowballs from there. That's the problem with trying to put together a game from public forums. Sometimes it works out and you meet some awesome people. Other times it turns into this. Unfortunately, it kept the OP from playing for a while. Luckily, they decided to come back to the game. OP should feel fortunate this happened before the game even started, where I feel most of these happen after a few sessions when you're already invested in the game, so there's that at least. Here's where I should insert some clever transition from the story to the next bit, but I'm sick while writing this, and instead, here's a Mossy. And now to the Bear Bard's Cave of Art and Wonders. Today's entry is from one TJ Hill and depicts the Bear Bard with their original character DualShock, with a Kamen Rider reference thrown in there just for good measure. This is a super fun one, and one of the first entries we had for the Bear Bard in Space art contest. We had, 2.4 thousand years ago? It's been fun going back through these and finally showing them off to the world like they deserve. Thank you, TJ. It made me smile. Before we go, I want to give a huge shout out to my subscribers. While I have shut down my Ko-Fi for now with the long break in between, I can't tell you what it meant to me that people out there genuinely supported me in what I do here. If I can keep a consistent schedule going, I'll actually be bringing back that Ko-Fi along with a Patreon as well. Drake's suggestion, and I don't argue with dragons. So if you're seeing this in the future, make sure to check them out. With that, we'll have one more super slick transition to the end here. Remember, if you enjoyed what you saw today, make sure to hit that like button, and maybe a sub to go with it. If you want the Bear Bard in other forms, I do have most of the other socials, in varying degrees of use. But for now, remember to stay kind, stay beautiful, and keep on living that bard life.